In this episode of Electric Bikes for Seniors, it's time to hit that important topic of safety. Because after all, we got gray hair. We don't have much time left. Let's make the most of it. Stay tuned. When looking at e-bikes for seniors, the most obvious thing that pops right into the top of your mind when you think about safety are the brakes. Well, there are two types of brakes you can get on pretty much any bike, and the Magicycle brand has both hydraulic bikes on this beautiful Magicycle Deer, as well as the traditional cable bikes on the less expensive Magicycle Cruiser. But both of those use 180 millimeter rotors for the brake pads to swish in to go ahead and slow you down. So let me take you through each of those brake types, because that is the most important safety feature, although there are some others you need to pay attention to as well. On a bike with traditional cable brakes, you see that the cable here goes down and attaches, and when you compress the handle, the cable pulls and it compresses the brake pads against this very large and robust 180 millimeter rotor. Now, the negative on cables is you can get dirt up in here, which will make the handle hard to pull, and you may end up having to disconnect it at both ends, work it back and forth, lubricate it to ensure it operates freely. The other thing about cable brakes is that after you use them for a while, you will experience some cable stretch, and you will have to adjust them using the adjustment knobs up here, and in the worst case, all the way down there at the bottom as well. Whereas on hydraulic brakes, the pressure to activate them is much less, and if you have weak grip as a senior, that could be a critical issue. They grab instantly because it's hydraulic pressure that's causing the brake pads to compress and not the cable. And obviously there's no stretch because they are hydraulic. Which is better? It depends on your opinion. I prefer the hydraulic brakes because I feel like I've got better control on the Magicycle Deer when I hit the brakes than I do over there on the Cruiser. But you can see opinions both ways. Some people feel like the hydraulic brakes are an unnecessary way to increase the cost, and that cable brakes are just fine. So you need to ride a couple bikes and see which you prefer. Moving on to the next key piece of safety equipment is the lights. Most of these e-bikes come with a headlight. That's really not an issue. The issue is, does it have a lever activated brake light? And if it doesn't, well then I would recommend you avoid it, because you're going faster on one of these e-bikes and you want that tail light to come on just as if you were a motorcycle. Granted, you can get some induction tail light things that you can put on your seat post, and they're theoretically activate when they feel the motion of a stop, but when you look at the reviews on Amazon, they're all over the place. So get an e-bike that has a lever activated brake light. Now, the next item of safety is your tires. You want to make sure you have puncture resistant tires, because the last thing you want to do is have a blowout and then have to walk back, and that's a safety issue because we're old and you may not be able to make it all the way back to your vehicle with a flat tire. A safety feature you may not think about is the throttle. The Magicycle, all their models, have a throttle that is independent of the level of power assist. There are other e-bikes that limit the amount of throttle you get to the pedal assist level you happen to be on, which means that unless you're in the maximum pedal assist level, you cannot get 100% of the power that the e-bike can provide, and that could slow you down in a dangerous situation. So avoid any brand that doesn't have the throttle independent of the pedal assist. The final safety issue to discuss is the type of helmet you wear. A traditional bike helmet, quite frankly, isn't good enough when you're running at 15 miles an hour or beyond. Bike helmets that are certified are usually only good up to 15 miles an hour. So you really need to get a helmet like this Nito helmet that I'll link up down below, that's designed specifically for the higher speeds that you will encounter on an electric bike. And when you're looking at electric bikes for seniors, you know, safety is important, and we value our heads. We got to make them last a couple more years. So those are the safety considerations you need to think about when you're about to purchase any e-bike. Comments? Throw them down below. Thanks.